My boyfriend's sister yelled at me, and I'm still not over it. I went out to dinner with my boyfriend, his sister, her boyfriend, and their dad. His sister had a few drinks before dinner. We all split a bottle of wine and then went out for drinks afterwards, so drinks were flowing all night. On the ride home, a political conversation started, and I was feeling confident enough to speak my opinion, and while I was a little outspoken and can get pretty excited when I feel passionate about something, it was a friendly conversation. I made one comment and it set my boyfriend's sister off. She turned and fully yelled at me in front of their dad. Everyone was caught off guard that she yelled and took my side, telling her to calm down. I took control of the situation and I fully apologized and admitted that I sometimes come off harsh and it wasn't my intention to offend anyone, and apologized profusely. Am I overreacting for still feeling incredibly embarrassed that she yelled at me? I've never elicited any kind of reaction from another adult and generally try to avoid confrontation, so I'm not sure how to handle this situation. Do I tell my boyfriend I'm still not over it, or would that make him feel like he has to take sides, which I don't want? The conversation was brought up about transgender people serving in the military, and she said they take advantage of the system by enlisting to have the military only pay for their surgeries and health care. I asked how that is different than people like her boyfriend joining to pay for college, and she blew up at me. Her boyfriend is in the military and was not offended, and actually provided more context to what she meant that she was unable to provide, and actually opened a dialogue about the military, and it turned out to be an insightful conversation with him. I took responsibility for my part and said, I think I came in too hot and didn't mean for it to be so confrontational and more of a genuine question. Family member wants handmade gift for my late child back? I lost my amazing but only child to cancer last summer. It's been really hard. When she was still here, a family member had a beautiful blanket made for my daughter with all her favorite colors, etc. My daughter loved it. 2 weeks after she passed, this family member asked if she could have the blanket back to give to her granddaughter instead, when I was ready. I was flabbergasted. I think I nodded in agreement at the time because it was not a battle I was willing to choose at that time, and I actually felt I needed to process what she asked because I couldn't have possibly heard her right. Fast forward until 2 weeks ago when a family disagreement came up and I finally told this person no, she could no have the blanket, and I was offended she even thought that was an option. Somehow she is victimizing herself and saying I'm being disrespectful and dramatic. Again, my gasps are flabbered? Am I overreacting? To clarify, this relative had a separate third party make the blanket. I imagine it cost her a pretty penny, and maybe she, wrongly, feels entitled to it back, but all that aside, she doesn't deserve the blanket, and I do intend to forward this post to her as my formal goodbye. I found out my husband has been having an emotional affair for the past year, and I served him divorce papers. Am I overreacting? I found out my husband has been having an emotional affair for the past year, and I served him divorce papers. I left the divorce papers on his bed and asked him to sign them. He did. I asked him if we could talk, the divorce process. He then stopped responding to my texts, so I went to the basement, where he spends the majority of his time, and asked him directly when we could talk. He said tomorrow. I asked him to set a time. Within the context of the conversation he alluded to, he was left divorce papers with basically no reason as to why. I explained that he was having another emotional affair. He has done this in the past. I set a firm boundary in January because I do not trust him. He clearly crossed it, and on top of that, directly lied to me when I told him I was having concerns about his online activity recently. My gut kept telling me something was off for how often he wasn't present. He does not believe he is having an emotional affair. He defended the relationship with this woman whom he speaks with primarily on Snapchat and occasionally on Instagram. We live on the West Coast. This woman lives in his hometown on the East Coast. He actually floated the idea of us moving our family back to his hometown a few months ago, which makes me physically ill to think about now. They knew each other in high school. My husband is now 40. This woman is recently divorced. The content they shared that I had visibility to were memes about being disrespected in your relationship, regretting your marriage, and having old crushes. He initiated the relationship a year ago with a message that read, "Damn girl, you look good, but I guess I can't get that picture back because it was on Snap. I just need validation that my husband is a lying, deceitful asshole." That's it, really. I'm so sick of his manipulation tactics. Or, am I overreacting? I saw my boyfriend's dad looking through the bathroom window at me after I finished showering. For context, my boyfriend's the same age as me, which is 23 years of age. I live with my boyfriend's immediate family and have been for almost a year. The other night, I was having a shower, and every time I get in, I am always sure the shutters are closed. They're foggy glass shutters, so you can't see through them when they're closed. My boyfriend was out at the time, and I was expecting him home soon. After my shower, I got out and started to dry myself. I looked over at the shutters and made eye contact with a pair of eyes staring at me. I freaked, quickly grabbed a towel, and asked if it was my boyfriend. Seconds later, the eyes disappeared, but I was positive they weren't my boyfriend's eyes, so I ran out the front in my towel to find my boyfriend's dad. He appeared to be in a rush to get to the opposite side of the house, which leads to the backyard. He stopped and said he was sorry and he thought he heard something around the side while having a cigarette. He said he didn't realize I was in the bathroom. I brushed it off as bluntly as I could because I was so startled and wanted to get out of there. I went straight to my bedroom and messaged my boyfriend to come home immediately. When he arrived, his dad caught him out the front to tell him his side of the story before he came inside. He told him that he heard something over the fence while having a smoke on the front deck. He went to look over the fence, and when he turned around, he saw my shadow through the glass, then realized what it really was, so he quickly went back around the front. I feel completely violated and uncomfortable. I don't know what to make of all this. My boyfriend's dad does weird shit like investigating stupid noises, or just hanging on the front or back deck looking at nothing, so there's a part of me that thinks he could be being honest. He also does smoke pot often, but I don't know if this would affect anything. The problem is, from what I remember, is those shutters weren't initially open, and even after the initial eye contact, he didn't move for a solid 3 seconds. Who knows, he could have been there longer than I realized, and it may not have been the first time. I honestly don't know what to think of all this or what to do. Additional backstory, my stepdad used to secretly watch me get changed when I was 14 or 15 years old after I would shower. I don't know how often this occurred, but I did catch him a few times, which I would immediately hide and he would scurry off. This absolutely terrified and violated me, but I would never say anything because I was so young and scared. Shortly after these experiences, my mom passed away, so he was out of my life pretty quickly. The problem here is if my boyfriend's dad really did have intention that night, he isn't someone I can just remove from my life. Husband bragged about not listening to me. I wasn't feeling well yesterday and took a nap after our kid went to bed, so he knew I had been sleeping. What I don't think he knew is that our kid woke me up to tuck her in later and I was awake for about half an hour. He was on a game with his friends, and he's normally pretty good about volume level, but for some reason he was yelling the whole time. And I hear him start to talk about me and marriage and stuff like that. Not uncommon, his friends are trying to figure out dating and settling down. He started complaining about when I call or text him at work. He's the one who calls me during his lunch break, so maybe it's that I was texting too much. I have asked him many times if he's uncomfortable or annoyed when I contact him, and he has always insisted he loves to hear from me, so this shocked me a little. Then he told his friends something to the effect of, "It's not like I'm actually listening, it's that she thinks I am to keep her happy." He even mocked me a little, telling his friends in a femme voice how I talked to him about my day. I understand that there's a very good chance that I do actually contact him too much, but I was under the impression that it helped him throughout the day, because he told me that. I really don't appreciate being boiled down to clueless woman in ignorant bliss. It just really shocked me, and I'm not quite sure what to do because I'm not quite sure this is something to even confront him about. Update, he came home from work and noticed pretty immediately that I was in a mood, and I told him why. We had 2 conversations and I got pretty frustrated during the first one, so he came back later. I really don't believe it was malicious, so I focused on expressing how the embarrassment of being talked about behind my back and the tone of the side of the conversation I heard was hurtful. He confirmed that he didn't mean to hurt my feelings. He talked about why he feels like his friends are the best outlet for these types of issues. I won't put it here for privacy. He also talked about how his friends don't hate me, and one of them even pulled him aside after meeting me and said, "You've got to marry that girl." My own anxiety won't let me believe that, but it's most likely true. I had gotten frustrated with him during the first convo and told him to get a fucking journal then, for when he internalizes and can't think realistically. And he did. He wrote a bunch of pages in a random notebook and was able to come back with organized thoughts to accurately express what he said above. As a lifelong journaler, I was really proud that he was able to do that. We have this thing my mom taught us about marriage: never go to bed angry. I sort of fudged that last night. I'm on meds that knocked me out, so I went right back to sleep, lol. I'm relieved we worked this out today.